Ooh, what's up, everybody? Gotchmas here. And in this video, we got a lot of crazy things to talk about in a 2.03 giant league where we're gonna be getting frenzy nerfs, stinger nerfs, REYNA nerfs. There's so much damn stuff to talk about. So make sure you watch at the end, smash that like and subscribe, because all this stuff is absolutely meta changing. Really big patch upcoming in patch 2.03, and we're gonna be breaking all that down. But go to the GameLeap website in the links down below for our special 50% off sale. It's never been a better time to climb the ranks of Valorant at a fat discount. We got exclusive in-depth advanced guides, VOD reviews, tips and tricks you won't find anywhere else. So if you want to climb to Immortal as quickly as possible, do yourself a favor, go check it out in the links down below. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. Now, all these clips are gonna come from Valorant developer Nicky Wu, who's a person I would love to have an interview with, by the way. But he's going to actually say a lot of different things about how the game is gonna be nerfed coming up in patch 2.03 in different clips on his Twitch. So we're gonna be playing those, breaking them down, and talking about exactly what that means for us, for ranked play, pro play, and the meta as a whole. Now, the first thing he's gonna talk about are actually big stinger nerfs. So we're gonna be playing the clip, and then we're gonna talk about it after the fact. Let's roll it.
Yeah, and some things to do with range, like range is something that, you know, I've hopefully tuned properly with the, you know, for the stinger. We'll see that in the next patch, and you know, that's what I'm excited for everybody's opinion on, really. So yeah.
Now, these changes are not quite as clear as what we know about the frenzy, which is actually clear cut. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But the stinger, basically, its range is going to get nerfed. Now, that's probably one of the most frustrating aspects about the stinger is not the run and gun aspect, which he's going to touch on a little bit later, and I'm going to talk about that because there's a separate clip for that. But the stinger is not only effective from these close ranges, very, very effective, but it seems like it can beam people from pretty damn far away, and that looks to be what he's really trying to solve here. Stinger should have specific strengths and specific weaknesses, and that's really what he's trying to target here, not making it a catch-all long distance gun that can sometimes still win duels up against rifles if the enemy's aim's even a little bit off or they're at low health. So I don't know about you, but a stinger range nerf sounds absolutely godsend. Nicky Wu, you're my hero, but we can't stop there because there is a lot more to cover. So the next thing that we got to talk about is what he says on stream about the frenzy. Let's roll the clip and let's talk about it here. Let's roll it right now.
Yeah, the frenzy will get a price increase in the next patch coming in a few days. It'll go from 400 to 500.
As we head into this.
So basically, like I said, the frenzy changes are pretty definitive, and that's just a price increase from 400 to 500. And you might be thinking, that's not really that big of a deal. It's only 100 credits. No, it is an absolutely huge deal, and it means the end of the frenzy meta as we know it. And you're gonna be like, what the heck? Why does that matter so damn much? Just 100 credits. Well, the reason that the frenzy was so damn powerful was for multiple reasons, but one of the biggest ones was the fact that you could buy armor and a frenzy. Now, you didn't do this all the time, but a lot of pros and even players in ranked spammed the hell out of frenzy plus armor. And the reason that that was so bad for the other guns, specifically the ghost, is a ghost person could get rushed on by a frenzy, hit the headshot, and still die to the frenzy just burring them down because they could survive that one headshot due to the armor. Now, if you want to buy the frenzy, there's an actual cost, and this makes the actual ghost pistol much more viable because it can actually counteract frenzies. You got the aim for it, you hit the heads, you could shut them down if they're running frenzies, if they're just running you down. And now, if they want to rock that armor, they absolutely have to be rocking that classic pistol, which, yes, the classic pistol is still very powerful, but at least the ghost pistol can outrange it in certain instances. From that mid-range, you're not going to be running and gunning, double headshotting people like the frenzy was. Like, you could legitimately just straight up Ferrari peek through angles as a frenzy and double dink enemies, and even if you got shot in the head by the ghost, you would still win the matchup. It was just absolutely absurd, and we were seeing it all across pro play where frenzy was just being picked like crazy. The frenzy meta as a whole is gonna come crashing down, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the frenzy pick rate goes from something like 90% to something like 10 or less, because now there are other guns that are viable. The classic with armor, the ghost pistol, and yeah, maybe the frenzy will be used in some situations with some characters, specifically maybe a character like REYNA that can get that full shields after that first kill or refrag, or a character like Raze that can use her blast pack and that mobility to really get into the enemy. But overall, frenzy is not going to be the default gun to go to anymore, and that is just amazing to me. Big frenzy changes and big stinger changes. This is one of the biggest problems I've had with the game at all recently. And with these big changes, I'm so excited about the future of the game, but definitely let me know what you think about all this in the comments down below. Now, some of you might be a little bit angry about no running and gunning changes, but he does mention that in this clip. So let's roll this last clip by Nicky Woo to talk about running and gunning changes as far as the stinger and the frenzy is concerned. Let's roll it right here.
No plans for running accuracy with SMGs. Like, generally speaking, SMGs and the frenzy are going to be better on the run than other weapons. Whether they're too effective right now is something that I'm still like looking at and trying to understand, because it's a tough balance when these weapons are meant to be pretty effective at that particular thing that is frustrating people, right? But yeah, it is a level of efficacy that I'm trying to understand and tune back to a point that like it still feels good in those moments and you can use it for that. But it doesn't feel as frustrating, but it's going to be frustrating no matter what.
Now, basically, as a TLDR of what Nicky Woo is saying, he doesn't want to change the running and gunning aspect of a lot of these SMGs because that's their strength. SMGs are inherently going to be guns that are good at running and gunning. That is one of the big draws to playing them, and that's a lot of what makes them effective at closer ranges. Now, he does acknowledge that that's one of the big things that frustrates people about these guns, but perhaps what he's really trying to touch at here is it's not the fact that running and gunning is frustrating, it's the fact that these guns are so damn good, way overpowered, and if you reel that back in, yes, they'll be really good at those effectively close ranges, but that's not much different than a weapon like a shotgun, for instance, and every single weapon should have its own strengths and weaknesses, and SMGs and frenzies, one of the big things that you should really be able to abuse on these guns is that they can run and gun, but they should not be effective at longer distance, they should not be overpowered, and they need to be reeled back to be bounced correctly, and they should almost never win matchups up against weapons outside of their effective range or intended purpose, like the frenzy was beating the ghost or the stinger was beating rifles in a lot of different situations. And that is really what they're targeting here, not running and gunning changes. They want to make sure that certain weapons have certain strengths and certain weaknesses, like I keep reiterating. But let me know what you think about this philosophy. Do you think that these big changes are going to be enough, or would you rather there be some big running and gunning changes across the board? Let me know all your opinions about that in the comments down below. Now, I know all of these changes have been pretty set in stone, and we know that they're going to be in patch 2.03, but these next changes, or this next big change, is a little bit more speculative, so just keep that in mind because we have no confirmation about this, so I'm going a little bit balls deep here. But Nicky Woo, again, on Twitter, has been talking about a little bit of changes, and he had an interesting conversation with G2 Lothar that I thought actually big time hinted to REYNA nerfs. So let's read it and let's talk about it. So first, Nicky Woo said this. He said, excited for the thoughts on the upcoming Valorant patch, expecting some hot takes, but hopefully players feel like we're listening. And then Lothar responded saying, when can we expect those? And Woo responded stating, soon, my friend. In the meantime, keep one-tapping and insta-dismissing on people. And Lothar responded with, oh no. Now, that being said, maybe Woo was just talking about the fact that Lothar likes to play REYNA, and he should just keep doing that in the meantime because he's really good at it. But this actually kind of sounded like you should abuse that while you still can. I'm not the only one that took it that way, because Lothar actually took it that way himself, kind of fearful for the fact that REYNA is going to get big nerfs. And think about the wording of that statement. One tap and instant dismissing on people. So it really sounds like the ability to instant dismiss after a one tap is something that might be patched out. Now, maybe it's really talking about the actual kind of quote unquote exploit, not really, but the key bind that some people like Lothar have been doing, which is secondary bind dismiss to your actual primary fire button, which means if you one tap an enemy, it will literally instant dismiss you if you do it correctly. And maybe that's something they're gonna patch out, or maybe they're actually touching REYNA as a whole character, because as you know, REYNA has the highest pick rate among all ranks in competitive, and while she might not be the most dominant pro character, I don't know if Riot would just let REYNA just stand at the top of the pick rate for every single rank for always. Not entirely sure what they think about that. Do they want to just allow her to be one of the characters that just has insanely high impact, can solo carry any game, and as such, she has a huge pick rate? Or are they really looking hard at her pick rate and stating, hey, that's probably way too much, as they did in the past with a character like Sage? I'm not quite sure, but this really does hint to some big REYNA nerfs, and she's kind of on the chopping block as far as nerfs are concerned. I can think of no character that is more deserving of a nerf than REYNA, even if I don't really think she deserves it all that much. I'm pretty fine with the way she is right now, but I know a lot of people have been struggling with REYNA, but I really want to know your opinion. Do you think REYNA deserves a nerf? Let me know in the comments down below. But moving on to the last thing that I really wanted to show you, this is an insane flick by WARDELL. Of course, WARDELL and his insane flicks, but this was a really important round from Gen G versus TSM. I want you to see this clip because it's absolutely incredible. Let's roll it right here, right now.
Hale, does he go unchecked? I think historically this corner is checked.
Okay.
This time around he's gonna spray down 2 and it's a 1v1. WARDELL on 5 HP. As Guimon looks to find WARDELL creeps. Oh, he finds the flick. He
Okay.
finds the kill, and TSM
All right,
back in
just
the
keep
win
buying
column.
ops, dude. Forget what I said. Fuck it.
Now, I know the caster curse is a little bit annoying. We didn't get to see the entire flick, but we do get to acknowledge just how nutty WARDELL is. WARDELL's a freaking monster, and even Shroud said it himself. Just keep using the op, man. If you're gonna play like that, that is freaking nuts. And I think every once in a while, WARDELL has to keep proving to us that he is undoubtedly the best opper that has touched the game of Valorant, period. But let me know if you disagree with me in the comments down below. And go to the GameLeap website in the links down below for in-depth advanced exclusive guides at a fraction of the cost with our special 50% off sale right now. Do yourself a favor and get everything you need to climb the ranks of Valorant instantly with in-depth advanced guides, VOD reviews, tips, and tricks. We got everything you possibly need on the GameLeap website, so I hope to see you there. But thank you so much for coming by. I hope you enjoyed the video. That's all I got for you today. I'm Coach Milfs, and see you tomorrow.